welcome to Not Suitable for Adults, the podcast from a mommy and a daddy who watch the show so you don't have to.
A mommy and a daddy?
That's us. We're the mommy and the daddy.
Okay.
My name's Rich.
I'm Natalie.
And we are going to talk about the shows that your kids watch that we watch.
We have to watch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So everything's pretty straightforward. We're going to talk, each of us, kind of about a show and our thoughts about it and have a little bit of discussion and then get out of your hair. How does that sound?
Are you asking me?
Sure.
This sounds good. I guess we should tell everybody that we have a 3-year-old.
Yes, we don't just watch shows.
It's not shows. Just for fun.
Yes, we want to. We watch them because we have to.
We have to. They are on constantly.
Yeah. And then one day, instead of complaining, we decided to make a podcast.
Why not?
All right. So let's dive right in.
Okay.
All right. So the first show that we're going to talk about on this show is a Netflix original. It's called Chip and Potato.
Your favorite.
My personal favorite to rag on.
Yes.
It's not my favorite show ever. There's some good things about it and some bad things about it. And we're going to break those down.
Let's break it down.
Okay. If you haven't seen this show, Chip and Potato is a show about a pug, a little pug named Chip, and her family, who have a lot of potato-related names.
They're very potato-based.
So her brother's name is Spud.
Yes.
And it's just Little Mama and Little Papa. That's the mom and dad.
Yes.
And it's a little pug family. The dad's like a little police officer, and it's adorable.
Sure.
So, for the most part, the story is about Chip. It's Chip's story. And right from the beginning, she's going to kindergarten and sort of learning how to be in the world. And she's learning life lessons, right? And everything's going great. It makes perfect sense. It's a kid's show. If it was Chip by herself, I'd be on board. There's all these talking animals. So there's like a panda who's their neighbor, and these elephant twins who live in the cul-de-sac with them, and they have a cute little song.
The elephants are like Stamp and Stomp or something exactly like that.
Right. And they have like this little ritual of all walking to school together, and it's great.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The walking to school song.
Yes.
Oh. Oh.
They're doing the welcome walkies. That's
welcome
what it's called.
Walkies.
Because they all live on Welcome Walk.
Where are you going to go? All the way to school.
If you see the show, you know what we're talking about. So this is the main show. It's mainly Chip's show. Now, Potato is a little mouse who basically lives in the pocket of Chip.
Yes, like her vest pocket.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she, I'm not sure, Potato wears this little hoodie that makes it look like a stuffed animal. And so no one knows that Potato is really not a real mouse. It's a pretend mouse acting. It's a real mouse pretending to be a pretend mouse to help Chip through her life.
Well, everybody says it's her snuggly potato.
Snuggly, right. And this is a thing that everyone seems to know about snugglies. Like,
yes.
Oh, yeah, at one point another kid says, oh, yeah, I had a snuggly and I don't have it anymore. And they're like, shut up, kid. Chip loves that snuggly potato.
I assume it's a lot like what we would call a lovey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just like a security blanket. Or
yeah.
any sort of stuffed animal that fills that role.
Yeah.
Here's what's imperceptible about this show. All Potato does is be in the pocket of Chip all the time. They go to class and Chip is like, Potato, stay in my pocket. No one can know you're here. And occasionally, like, Potato will get Chip out of a scrap. Like, Chip doesn't know how to do something, and Potato doesn't. He goes, Wah! And
yeah, Potato doesn't talk.
No.
No, Potato only gives like nudges and winks and thumbs ups.
Yes. Like,
Little encouraging gestures.
yes, exactly. And so, but never ever takes credit, and no one ever recognizes that they're there. And so it could just be Chip making mistakes and learning through it, like the show that we're watching right now that we love. That's a great show, Boy Meets World. The kids on that show just learn their mistakes, right? But not Chip. Chip relies on this real pretend.
Well, the thing is, so Potato is real to Chip. And Chip is like, well, let's make sure that nobody knows that you're a real mouse. So if anybody is like, she's talking to Potato, Chip is talking to Potato, and little mama or little papa start coming up the stairs and saying, Chip, she goes, oh no, Potato, get into your, what is it called? Snuggly form or whatever. And Potato like pulls up their hoodie and they are now stuffed potato.
Yeah, now has to pretend to be not real.
Right.
It's crazy.
Is Potato real?
This is an important question.
Right.
If you watch this show like we do with an eye for plot holes, you start to wonder, is Potato actually an imaginary friend? Is Potato actually a real mouse, or does Chip just pretend that her stuffed animal is actually a real mouse? And she's like, oh no, you little silly mouse. But really, all the people in her life are going, Chip kind of talks to this stuffed animal a lot.
Well, if they ever notice that she's talking, she always says, oh, I was just talking to myself. Or I was just like thinking out loud or something. Like, Potato has to be kept a secret.
Right.
So my question is, who bought the original Potato for Chip?
Right. Presumably the parents got her,
I mean,
like a gift.
an adult at
Right.
least got her a potato.
Right.
Was it stuffed?
It's impossible to say.
It's okay. Also, let's talk about. So yes, we talked about that. Chip and Potato and Spud are all in a family.
Mm-hmm.
Potato is a mouse.
Right.
Whether they are a real or stuffed mouse. But Spud and Chip are dogs, pugs,
Yes.
raised by Little Mama and Little Papa.
Also pugs.
And that's also what everybody calls them, is Little Mama and Little Papa. They don't have real names. So you would think that there's this, like, obsession with potatoes, right?
No,
because, right. But what is their obsession with, actually?
They love pumpkin-flavored stuff.
Pumpkins.
Who knows why?
Pumpkins. Chip has bedding with pumpkins on it. They get up in the morning to eat out of their doggy bowls again because they are pugs. And they put pumpkin-flavored syrup on their waffles.
And Chip's favorite lunchtime food is twirly, cheesy pumpkin pasta, which is not real. That's just macaroni and cheese, but pumpkin. But everyone just accepts it. Like, and yeah, listen, listener at home, you're sitting there thinking, these are just choices that the writers of the show made, and that's true. It's just why. I want to know why certain things seem to be such a big deal to these people. We'll talk more about Chip and Potato, I'm sure, because our daughter Cora loves this show. And eventually another season's going to come out. If you want to check it out, it's on Netflix. We'll talk more about Chip and Potato. Don't worry about that. But we are going to move on to another segment. This next segment is the question of the day. And Natalie posed a question to me earlier today, and she's going to pose it to you, and we're going to have a little discussion.
It's because I feel so strongly about...
Right.
I feel very strongly about my answer to this question. And this question is, who is the evilest or most evil? I don't know what the correct grammar is there. Who is the most evil Disney villain? Bum, bum, bum. And I feel very strongly about this.
Yeah.
It's something that is in my soul. The most evil. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
The most evil Disney villain is from Disney's The Lion King. Scar.
Okay, explain.
Okay. Scar. First off, number one, he straight up murders his brother. Okay, there's like a Cain and Abel thing going on, right?
Sure.
So, Mufasa's like really good. Scar is like not so good as Mufasa and basically jealous. Then so he murders his brother. There's number one.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen The Lion King in any form, Mufasa dies.
Oh, no. I was going to watch that this weekend.
Then, not only does he murder his brother straight up, he has this whole evil plan to where his nephew, he's basically like a 6-year-old, right? This like 6-year-old cub, like, guess what? You just killed your father.
Right.
In his brain, he's like, I just murdered my brother. How about I get rid of my nephew as well? That would take over the pride, right? Because he wants to be the powerful one. I'm going to get rid of my nephew. And I'm going to go ahead and just put this on him. But he puts it on him, right? He puts it on him, and 3 seconds later, he tells the hyenas to go kill his nephew.
Right.
So his nephew's, as far as he's concerned, his nephew's last thoughts are, I just killed my father, and now I'm being eaten by a hyena. But that's not even the worst part to me. I mean, that's pretty bad.
It's bad.
It's very bad. Let's say there's like terrible family drama. People snap all the time. There's a whole show about it. Snapped. There's a whole show about it. People snap all the time, right?
Sure.
Here's the thing that really gets under my skin.
Grinds your gears.
It grinds it. So he teams up with the hyenas. And you can tell that these hyenas are not friends of the lions. What is Scar?
He would be a lion.
He would be a lion. He teams up with his own enemy to wreck the lives of his own kinsmen and Kim's lionesses. I think
Her eyes are on fire, people.
it just I just think he's the worst.
Yeah, he's bad.
But before I mean, why don't you go ahead and say what yours is? And then I have more points as to what makes Scar the worst if you think that yours is actually worse, which it won't be.
Okay, so I thought about this a little bit this evening, and I was torn between two. I have one that jumps right into my head as extremely evil, and I'm going to talk about him first very briefly, and then I'm going to actually talk about the one that I actually think might be the most evil person, even though, okay, I'll tell you, so we'll talk about it in a second. So the one that I think is honorable mention for me is Jafar.
Okay, I knew one of them was going to be Jafar for you.
Yeah. And part of the reason for Jafar is just because I love that movie, because Aladdin's so good. But Jafar is very bad. So Jafar is like the epitome of the bad guy. He's the evil sorcerer. He wants everything the opposite. He wants exactly the opposite world of the protagonist. And to me, like from a storytelling perspective, I think Jafar is a very bad guy. I'm going to make, though, in reality, a controversial pick.
Oh, I'm excited. Here we go.
A controversial pick because I've complained about this before in this movie. I think it's possible that the evilest bad guy in any Disney movie might be Prince Hans of the Southern Isles from Frozen. And here's why. You go through the movie Frozen. You get to a point where you're like, I remember this. I was watching it the first time, and I was like, wait a second. There's no bad guy in this movie. We're supposed to think Elsa's kind of the bad guy, but she's not. We know that she has redeemable qualities. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Prince Hans is like, oh, too bad. Now you gotta die. To Anna. And, man, he set us all up. He didn't just betray Anna.
He betrayed us all.
He betrayed everyone. Prince Hans is the worst Disney villain because he flew under the radar. He was under the radar for the whole movie until right at the end when you figure everything out. And again, spoiler alert, it's not a normal movie. It subverts the whole genre in a lot of ways. But I'm pretty adamant that he commits the worst evil in a Disney movie by leading Anna on to believe that he loves her and wants to marry her. And at the last possible moment is like, just kidding. I want to murder you and your sister.
You know what the like crazy fan fiction kind of like theory is, right?
No.
You ready for it?
No. Yes.
So a lot of people think it's the trolls, the rock trolls.
Oh, that they poisoned him against her?
Because they basically raised, what's his name? Not Sven. Sven's the... Kristoff. So they basically raised Kristoff and they were like, here's this girl that would be really good for Kristoff. And they like cast a spell or whatever on Hans because up until that point he's very helpful and very charming and very nice.
And he sings maybe the best song.
Oh, it's absolutely the best song.
I like it better than Let It Go. Love is an Open Door.
Love is an Open Door.
It's a great song.
So good. Oh, it's the best song of them. Yeah, for sure. But the theory is...
So the trolls might be responsible for this after their hit song, A Bit of a Fixer-Upper.
Well, they're trying to marry off their human son, right? So
what do you think, though, of my overall synopsis?
I don't think he compares at all to the evilness that is Scar.
I think that our two picks actually have a lot in common.
Does Hans kill any of his, what was it, like 7 brothers? Not that we know of.
I think it's implied that he did.
No.
I think it's implied that he, like, worked his way to the front of the pack.
No, because he had to come to this land to find a place to rule, because all of his brothers have taken up the whatever land he's from. So he had to come basically hijack a land.
Okay. Yes, but fair. Mm-hmm. Yes, he didn't physically kill his brother. Okay. He didn't physically kill his brother.
Okay.
But he did leave Anna to die, and if the magical snowman Olaf hadn't been there, she would have died.
I
And
believe
he left her all alone. Like, he didn't, like, even have the courage to do it himself. He just kind of slammed the door and was going to let her turn into ice all by herself.
Oh, so you think it takes courage to drop your brother off of a cliff?
I think that Hans is more of a coward than Scar.
We're not talking about who's the most cowardly. We're talking about who is the evilest.
Sure.
And I think dropping your brother off of a cliff is more evil than walking away and not seeing the fruits of your, murder.
I'm just saying, Han left Anna in that room, locked up to die. He didn't know about Olaf. She was going to turn into ice. And then he goes to Elsa and is like, "Hey, you killed your sister."
That's very similar.
He did what Scar did to Simba.
It's very similar, except that Elsa was a grown woman.
Okay.
And Simba was what I refer to as basically a 6-year-old. So,
little baby Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Oh, I loved him so much. I was so in love with that boy, man. So yeah. So let me do
a little breakdown.
Well, let me just give you a more of a real life scenario. And it's not happening in our life right now, right? So
her eyes are on fire.
Stop it. I don't want to look at you when you're talking about my eyes being on fire. Stop it. Okay. So the thing that I think of when I think of Scar is the character of Django from the Quentin Tarantino film.
From Django Unchained?
Django Unchained.
Now that movie is suitable for adults.
That movie is more suitable for adults. This is how I mean, it's similar, right? Because Django becomes basically a slave owner, or is portrayed as a slave owner.
Django?
Yes. He becomes...
he takes on the persona.
Yes.
Okay.
So he's basically...
Spoilers for Django Unchained.
You didn't think we would talk about Django on this.
I did not. Episode 1.
I mean, this is what I'm talking about, though. Like, and then he has to take on this persona of... But...
I see what you're talking about.
But he is of their race.
Right.
Right? And he's basically selling his own people.
Right. I see what you're talking about.
Okay, so Scar, right?
So he does like a double betrayal.
Okay, let's also talk about the Mummy. Okay, do you remember that Weasley kind of guy?
Yeah.
Benny was his name.
Spoilers for the Mummy.
Stop it! Benny, like, becomes the henchman of, like...
Of the Mummy.
The Mummy.
Right.
To...
Just because he can speak Hebrew.
Right. To just... It's self-preservation, right? Mm-hmm. So, he ends up basically just... standing by while all of his human race, because I guess the Mummy is not necessarily human at that time.
Yeah.
Anyway, he betrays his blood.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
He betrays humanity.
You can have a hard family relationship.
Yeah.
Sure. There's whole TV shows and podcasts and movies about people just like straight up like hating their family.
Sure.
But they at least, are human.
Yeah.
Okay. Scar went against his own lion heritage, his people, and basically just straight up enslaved them to the hyenas just so that he could be in charge. Okay.
I feel like you won. I think you actually picked the best, the best worst Disney villain.
I know I did. There's no question about it.
And for that, you get to talk about the next show.
Okay. So, for your listening ear pleasure, I wanted to talk very quickly about a super sweet little show. I think it's just adorable. Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's on PBS. We watch it on Amazon Prime. And it's basically a remake.
Kind of a reimagining.
Okay. Of Mr. Rogers.
You might even call it it's almost sequel material.
Sure.
Because some of the characters from the Land of Make-Believe are now like more grown up.
I never watched Mr. Rogers.
Oh, that's too bad.
I didn't watch Mr. Rogers. I only know Daniel Tiger, actually.
Okay.
So Daniel Tiger is a tiger, and he lives with his mom and dad, and later on his baby sister, and he has friends, and he lives in this whole land of make-believe where they're in the neighborhood all together, and they learn about being good friends and being a big brother and being a good helper and sharing, and they go through complex emotions like getting frustrated and being angry and how to calm yourself down. It's really good stuff. Yeah. And they all have this little jingle that goes along with it. But as the mom sitting watching it with her 3-year-old daughter, what I'm noticing mostly is that Daniel Tiger doesn't wear pants. And it confuses me. It confuses me because none of the tiger males wear pants.
Right.
The mom tiger does. Mom tiger wears pants. She wears pants and a top. Daniel, the dad tiger, and Grand Pierre, the grandpa tiger, all wear some sort of shirt or jacket, or in Daniel's case, red sweater. They all wear some sort of footwear.
Sure.
But no pants.
No pants.
But here's the kicker.
Yes.
You ready?
I'm ready.
They get ready for bedtime.
Yeah.
They're getting ready for bedtime.
Right.
And what do they put on for bedtime? PJs, tops and bottoms.
Everyone tops and bottoms.
Well, I think the mom maybe wears a nightgown.
Okay.
Maybe. But Dad Tiger and Daniel both wear tops and bottoms PJs. Pants and long sleeve shirts.
Yeah.
PJs,
pajamas.
But they say, okay, let's get up. Let's take off our pants and get ready for school. And I'm like, what?
That is, yeah. It's confusing. this is like kind of an age-old thing too with certain cartoon characters. So like, I feel like Donald Duck is someone who has had this said about him because he wears a jacket and no pants. And I'm thinking Porky Pig also. Porky usually wears a jacket and no pants.
But other characters wear pants in this.
Right.
So, well, I guess the other
Some
characters
wear no clothes.
Oh, the owl is just covered in feathers.
Right.
He don't need no clothes. But the human characters wear full clothing.
Right, the royal family.
Yes,
Oh,
Prince
it's not just
Wednesday.
them.
Well, and yeah, like Mr. McFeely?
Yeah, the
postman.
But also
And Baker Acre.
Miss Elena and
All
the humans. So there's several humans on the show.
Yes, several humans wear pants. A few of them wear dresses, but still they wear pants. But what gets me is that the mom tiger wears pants. Mm-hmm. She gets up in the morning and she puts her pants on.
Yep. One leg at a time, just like all of us.
Dad Tiger and Daniel Tiger, and I guess Grand Pierre, we don't see him all the time, get up in the morning, take off their PJ pants,
And leave everything.
put on their sweaters, and they're like good to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It's weird.
yeah.
For sure. It's weird.
Yeah. Super cute show.
It's a great show.
It's a very good show, and
Every kid should watch Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood.
and Cora will just listen to the music. She will ask our Echo to just
Oh, yeah.
play Daniel Tiger Neighborhood music.
Yes.
And she will act out as she's singing.
And she wants to read Daniel Tiger stories at night. She's not, I wouldn't say she's obsessed. She just has a healthy love of Daniel Tiger and his neighborhood.
Yes. But we still don't know why they don't wear pants.
Maybe that's something that we'll learn in future seasons.
What? I don't think so.
I think so.
No.
It's a mystery for the ages.
No, stop.
Okay.
You don't-
Well,
Okay.
this has been Not Suitable for Adults. This is what the podcast is going to be like. We're going to talk about things that parents of kids think about and are too scared to put on the internet. No?
What?
It's fine. This has been Not Suitable for Adults. Now listen, don't forget, next time you're watching TV, don't forget, you're the boss.
And you can watch whatever you want. Bye.
Bye.